Alright, we are playing Blueprints. Gonna start off the day with the mailroom, and I have the freight shipping. Get a bunch of keys at 10 coin apiece, and a lockpick at 8. A sledgehammer at 8. We're up to 56. Plus a 6 coin shovel. And 8 coin shoes. Over 60 coin worth in the freight shipping. So, what is the goal of this Blueprints run? Every time I start a run on Blueprints, I like to have a goal. Sometimes just the goal is get a full house. Sometimes the goal is to change my chess piece. Sometimes my goal is to draft a certain room and look at the clues inside of that room. In this run, I have a couple of goals. I want to read a couple of books. I want to read the Red Prince. I also want to read the Constellation book. I am in the process of reviewing some stuff, and I need to go back and read those books. And so those are two of my goals. As you see, I have the power of the Rook right now, and so the power of the Rook allows me to redraw up to 4 times on the 4 corners of the board. And so I redraw, and ultimately come across Dormitory. It was a great pull because the key card was in there. Key card is a major card, or major key rather. It is always a card, but it is a major key. And now all I have to do is make sure that I have enough regular keys, and I will guarantee myself access to room 46, or a route there. I just need to draft the right way. So in the workshop here, just taking a look to see if there's anything I can craft. I have a new goal now, which is to see if I can craft some cool items. Right now, the only thing I need is a lever, or a broken lever, and I'll be able to craft either the jackhammer or the power hammer. I like the nursery. The nursery almost always will have the gem back in it. Like I said, I had a goal of reading the Red Prince, and so I read the Red Prince, got my information that I needed, and now we're off. One thing that I like to do in most of my Blueprints runs is I like to see how many items I can get. I like to have a high number of that, and so anytime I have the ability to find an item or dig for an item, I'll do it. Alright, let's see how I do on this parlor game. Alright, I think they're in the white box. And wrong. I have missed a ton of parlor games. I am not good at the parlor game. I have so many coins at this point that I should always be buying what is in the gift shop or the commissary. Alright, this is the other book that I wanted to read. I had checked it out from the library the day before, and I wanted to read some of the information in it. I have a ton of stars at this point. I have all of these constellations and then the 2 more that come after it. And so the 2 that come after it, one shows up at 50 and the other shows up at 100. I won't spoil what those constellations are, but if you want, I do have a video about the other star constellations. Alright, made it to room 46 in 1 hour. Is that what that said? And no, that was not 1 hour. It was 3 days, 1 hour. So I thought I saw 1 hour in there, and it did, but it was 3 days, 1 hour. So at this point, I am trying to, continue building up, and I'm really wanting to go left, but I'm a sucker for the rare items in the Lost and Found, and so I draft the Lost and Found, and I get the gear wrench, pretty rare item, and then 2 dice. Lame. 2 dice is something that comes in a chest. Don't tell me that is a rare item in the Lost and Found. That's weak. Real weak. I went with corridor here because I needed to get into the foundation to be able to draft out of the other rooms from the foundation. And it's really my only route north at this point. And so I'm really banking on either of these doors to be going north. Otherwise, I'm going to be ending this run pretty quick. And so I use one of those re-rolls that I just got from the rare items in the Lost and Found, and I use it for this hallway here. And so my thought is, do I go in this way or do I turn around and draft from the other end? Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. I have so many steps. Alright, I'm a sucker for veranda, and so it's a rarity if I don't draft veranda. The reason I love veranda so much is because it makes it to where other rooms have a greater chance of having items in it. And like I said before, I'm a sucker for items. I love collecting items and seeing how many items I can get. So I like drawing room here. It has one door going north, one door going south. I'm able to draft both ways. It does cost a gem, but you're always able to get that gem back because of the safe that is in this room. And so you can either go north or you can go south. Don't forget to pick up your gem though. I'm looking for a good dead end here, but I don't want to get the vault. I use the reroll to get the office. One of the things that I have a goal of is completing my chessboard, and so in order to complete the chessboard, one of the things that you need is a king spot. And so the king is only located in the office and the throne room. And so in order to ensure that I have the requisite pieces, I need to draft the office or the throne room. And so that's why I went with the office in that spot. Cool thing about having the dove coat as one of your options to draft, you can rotate and it will rotate all of the rooms that are in that draft. So that's a pretty cool thing about the dove coat. When playing blueprints, it's important to utilize the security computer. When you have a key card, you should set the security level to high so that you don't have to waste your regular keys on doors that require a key card. Earlier in this video, I said I have a ton of stars. Obviously that's incorrect. I have 54 stars. I have more than one playthrough that I'm doing, and I was thinking of a different playthrough where I have really a ton of stars. The way that I was able to get all of those stars was through one of the experiments in the lab, but that that experiment has since been reworded, and it no longer has the ability to just boost your stars or your allowance. We'll talk more about that later on in the video though. I go dark room here, and I decide to draft out of dark room because I have the secret garden key, and I'm hoping that it's locked, and sure enough it is, and so I'm able to go in the secret garden. Once in the secret garden, I pull the lever on the left hand side, but one of the things that I also have the ability to do is I can rotate it and now pull the levers for the right hand side. The way I'm able to do this is I had to use the power hammer and power hammer through the brick wall right here, and there's the third wheel that you can use to turn the arrows. And so once you're able to turn all three sets of arrows towards the E, it will then rotate around and open up the east antechamber door. So when you want to open up the west antechamber door, you just have to have all the arrows pointing towards the west or towards the W. When you want to open the right side or the east side, just have all the arrows pointing to the E. And one secret garden entrance can have you go all the way through the antechamber so that you don't have to draft the Great Hall or the weight room in order to get that door open. And hey, there's the broken lever I was asking for earlier. And so now I think I'm going to go back to the workshop and I'm going to build me something. Rumpus room is perfect right here. I need a going forward room. I want another going forward room, and so that's why I use the re-roll here. And boiler room finally gives me the going forward. Because I have the gear, it'll give me the option of changing the rarity of this room. I decide not to change the rarity of this room. Standard is just fine for me. There we go, Her Ladyship Chamber. So this room has the queen in it, and since I've drafted this room, I now have a new goal, or another goal, and that goal is to get the key to open up this diary. While I'm here, I find an upgrade disc. So now another goal that we add to the list of goals for this run is to do that upgrade. So to recap, the goals that we have on this run are to do a full house, to do the chessboard, to do the upgrade disc, to find the key to Her Ladyship's diary. Man, we got a lot of things in this run that we're trying to accomplish. I go with Solarium here because one of the effects that it has is that you are more likely to draft rare and unusual rooms, and I want the ability to draft those rare and unusual rooms. I also know that frequently there are items on the table there like the orange or the gem, and so I wanted to get those. I'm real grumpy that I pulled archives here. It's what happens when you draft in the dark, and I drafted in the dark and got literally the second worst room in the game. Time to do the upgrade disc, and so the thing that they used to have in the game was if you look at your map, you lose 10 steps and then gain a star and then gain your allowance. And so the workaround that I found out was to do the nursing station, which is the middle upgrade here. The nursing station says that if you have fewer than 20 steps remaining, walk into the nursing station and you will get boosted up to 20 steps. And so you would look at your map until you got down below the 10 step requirement. Then once you got below the 10-step requirement, you would walk into the nursing station and it would boost your steps up to 20. You would then look at your map again, you would fall below the requisite number, and you walk back into the nursing station. You could do this over and over and over and over and over, and there was no cap on it. And so I was able to get my allowance up to 100 and something. I was able to get my stars up to 100 and something. They did a patch back on like May 28th, May 27th, something like that, and they changed it to where now you can only do that 10 times. It says the next 10 times you look at your map or look at your blueprint, then, and so they fixed the workaround that I found to really boost your stars or your allowance. Alright, this room here is a corner room, and so I have the ability to redraft up to 4 times. I'm highly contemplating whether I do that or take the clock tower here. I take the clock tower because there's an item at the top of the stairs, and sometimes it's a really cool rare item like the stopwatch, and sometimes it's really lame like 4 coins. And so what are we going to get this time? We are going to get the stopwatch. Heck yeah. So the stopwatch is a really cool item in that while the 1 minute timer is counting down, you do not have to pay any keys or gems for the rooms that you go through, and you don't have to use any of your steps. So for 1 minute you don't waste steps, you don't waste keys, you don't waste gems. I get the perfect room that I wanted here. I get the dining room, which allows me to then draft the dovecote. I'm just running in real quick because the timer is going down and I want to be able to open as many doors as possible. And so I don't go into bunk room yet because I know that I don't need to yet. I still have a couple seconds to get this last door open. I wanted to use my power of the Rook. We get the kitchen here, and since we're here, gonna eat. In order to accomplish all of those goals, need a lot of steps, and so have tons of money, and so buy everything we can in the kitchen, go to the dining room, check to see do we have an aquarium. We do have an aquarium, so we're gonna get tons of steps now. As mentioned before, I'm a sucker for things to pick up, and so I pick up the basement key even though I have no need for the basement key. But I'm able to go from the left side of the antechamber to the right side of the antechamber simply because I had that secret garden and I was able to open both doors. Go with the storeroom here, get myself a couple of keys. I'm worried about these last couple of doors that I have to draft that they're going to be locked, and so I wanted the room that gave me a couple of keys. This is a dead-end spot, but I know that the gallery has gems and a secret 8 key, and so like I said, I want to get all the items, and so I go in there just to get the item. Only 3 spots left to complete the full house. Making sure I did the dig spots. So there's fruit spread throughout the house because I used the secret garden. When using the secret garden, it will automatically spread fruit around the house. I want to switch the mechanarium to a a little bit less rare of a room, and so I move it down to standard. If you didn't know, there's a lever that can appear in this mechanarium. It will open up the left side of the antechamber. Alright, just one other difficult spot that we have to draft in order to get our full house. We need a straight room, and we've already used a good handful of those. There's a dig spot here. I decide not to dig at that, and I want to go over here and dig. Got to take the elevator to go down, to then be able to go around, to be able to go back into entrance hall. So now we're on our way back to the outside and entrance hall. This right here is where you can find lost and found. Take your shovel there and dig it up. Since we are basically right here, I decide to go accomplish one of our goals, which was the chessboard puzzle. So, the chessboard puzzle can be completed by placing the appropriate chess piece on the board to match where it is located in the house. So, for example, we have her ladyship chamber, and we know that it is on the far left side in one of these spots. I don't remember exactly where it is, and so I decide to put some of the other ones on first. And now I have to relook at my map to see where it is. Alright, her ladyship chamber is all the way down on the lower left. Office, clock tower. The rook is in the clock tower. Her ladyship chamber is where the queen is. The rumpus room is where the bishop is. So I got the queen in the right spot. You'll know they're in the right spot because they will light up. So now I'm looking for the observatory because I know that's where the knight is. I put the pawn where the den is, but there's really a dozen or so spots where the pawn is. So now that I have completed the chess puzzle, I'm going to pick a new piece. I am picking the knight. The reason I am picking the knight is because I want the armory. I want to be able to use the axe from the armory. So now that we have used the axe on Tower of the Throne Room, we have the goal for Armory added to our draft pool. We've already placed 44 rooms, or 43 rooms rather, and so there's not that many selections left in our draft pool, and so we're hoping to get the Armory today. But if we don't get it today, we'll have the power tomorrow, and we can try again tomorrow. But the goal here is to finish our full house, and to draft the armory. And to make things harder, we have the stupid archive plan so that we don't know what one of our options are. So I'm going to re-roll 1 or 2 times to see if the armory pops up, and hey, look at that. There's the armory. So the items that you can buy in the armory are the knight's shield, which will negate the effects of a red room. The Morning Star is by far the worst item in the armory. All it is a sledgehammer, and it also will give you a star the following day. So for the same cost of a sledgehammer, you get the benefit of a star. The most powerful item in the armory, though, is the axe. The axe will remove the gem cost for any one room that you choose. You can only do this 3 times in the game, and so the room that I am going to axe is one that costs 5 gems, and that's the trophy room. And so the trophy room normally costs 5 gems, but you get 8 gems back, so plus 3 gems. Now I've axed the cost, and so it is a free room that gives 8 gems. That room is clutch. Back at the workshop, time to build something, and so I am building the powered electromagnet, and so I build that so that if there are any keys or coins on the ground, it'll just automatically pick them up for me. I'm pausing here because I'm deciding, do I want to go to the outer room or do I want to try to go down into the underground? I decide ultimately that if I'm going to go to the outer room, I need to draft the tomb, because the tomb is where the diary key is. And so I decide that's what we're going to do. I have the stars to re-roll, and one of the goals that we determined after drafting Her Ladyship Chamber was to get the key to open it up. To make things difficult, we have the archive plan, so who knows how many re-rolls this is going to take, and there we have tomb. So now we are going to go with the tomb. I have already burned the candles here, and so that's why that door is open. I've also burned the candles in the other spot where we're going to go, and so that door will also be open. But if you haven't done so, the way to do this is by using the torch or the burning glass to light those candles, and you'll be able to access this tomb, and it has her diary key on it. And so now all we have to do is go back up to the chamber, and once we are in the chamber, we'll be able to unlock the diary and see what it says. What I'm doing right now is I am going to the inner sanctum so that I can pull the lever to room 46 because I don't have my crown yet. Can't have a completed run without the crown. And I needed to pull the lever, and so I've pulled the lever. The next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to obtain the final red letter that I need. And so that final red letter is located here in the underground area. And so the way that you have to do it is you have to utilize the raising mechanism of these gears here. And so you have to have the secret door unlocked right here that I came through. But this is the way that you will be able to access the upper area. So you have to make sure that when you raise it up, the platform underneath it you'll be able to walk on and get to the other spot to then turn the gears. Once you turn the gears, you'll be able to traverse this area. Again, this is that secret door spot that you'll have to have had opened already. I don't know why I get a little confused here what I'm doing. I go up, I go down, I go up, I go down. I don't know what was going on. I just was a little confused what I was doing, and then I realized, oh yeah, I'm doing this gear puzzle thing. I get reoriented to what I'm doing. And so the goal here is to turn it so that you can run back in that tunnel area, or that metal tunnel area. And so now, the spot where this red letter is right here. You got to go through this little alcove, and you have to go through that red door. That red door can only be powered if you have the boiler room on and you have the red box lit up. And so the way that you have the red box lit up is you have to have the steam going into that box. And so you have to rotate the metal tubes in the right order so that the steam powers the red box. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just running back to the boiler room, and once I'm in the boiler room, I will move that steam to go to the right spot. So that's the red box I was talking about. And so just rotate the gear until the steam is going into the red box. You'll see it lit up. Now that it's lit up, just gotta run all the way back. And so now that we are in Her Ladyship chamber, we're able to check another goal off the list, which was open up the diary. Feel free to pause the video to read everything on the diary here. Generally speaking, what she's talking about is how she hasn't been getting good sleep, and when she tests out sleeping in other rooms, what happens to her. And so what happens to her is notated at the bottom there. And so if you call it a day in those rooms, you too will feel those same effects. Now that we are back underground, just showing you that you can get in the boat here if you have the reservoir lowered 1 notch. So back in the underground, going to go to the opposite side where we were in the tunnel area, where we needed the box on the left here to be lit up. And so we run down here, and sure enough, it's lit up. So this door opens, and so where does that take us? So if you follow the path there, go up all of these stairs, you will see the upper level of the gears now. And so we see that it needs to be rotated 1 notch. And so we run all the way back down, and we're going to rotate it 1 notch and see where that takes us. I'm really glad that it doesn't cost you steps right here, because it would be really difficult to complete these tasks if it cost you steps just by running up and changing the gears, because you have to traverse a long ways. And so the fact that it doesn't cost you any steps, I think is good, and the game developers did a good job with that. So the first path that you can go down is this one here, and it shows you the different levels that the water needs to be at in order to change what you can do. I find this puzzle box here and struggle my way through it, but ultimately I think I figured it out. I got the pattern, and after some trial and error, I was able to finally get there. And once I got there, it opens up and you get the allowance token. So now we were able to check that path, and so we need to now move the gear 1, 2, 3 times. And so we'll move it 3 times in order to see what that gets us. So we get back down here and we move it 1, 2, 3. And now that we've moved it the 3rd time, we're all good to go. Just double checking, making sure everything looks right. So now we run back up there and see what we can get. So we've lined it up right, and we can go to another path. And so we find a lock here, and so we know that it must be a date. And so we spell out the word May, and the only number that's available is 8. And so we select May 8, and it opens up the last gate. And we find the treasure trove floor plan. So now we have unlocked the treasure trove floor plan, and we find the last and final red letter that we needed to complete our 7th red letter. So now the only thing left to do is go pick up our crown, and we'll be able to call it a day. So in order to pick up the crown, just got to go to room 46 and enter it and pick up our crown. Wanted to make sure that I had pulled the lever, and so ran back into the inner sanctum just to make sure, because what I did not want to do is have to run all the way back down here. Like, that would be a waste of my time to have to run all the way back down here. And so we have our gear puzzle here that we need to rotate a couple of times in order to have a path back. Thankfully, it only takes a few rotations and we're good to go. So we made it to room 46. And what do we have on the table? A sanctum key? How have I not found this sanctum key and used it before? Well, probably what happened is I made it to room 46 and I didn't have enough steps to go back down to the sanctum, and I just forgot about it. But I have 78 steps. I'm not about to forget to do it a second time. So now, another thing to add to our goal list: get this final sanctum key down to the inner sanctum and open up that door. And so now that we are back in the last sanctum area, on this run is go key and unlock one of those I have everything and I call it a day. All in all, though, what an incredible run. We were able to do the full house we wanted. We were able to do the chessboard that we wanted. We were able to do the armory like we wanted. We were able to get our crown. All in all, a very successful day. And look at that, we took over 100 and something steps. Great day.